Welcome to Marshland Histories, a new series of oral history podcasts about the Lower Waveney Valley, the people, the places, and the surrounding marshland. I'm Dean Parkin, and my guest in this episode is Gavin Durrant, man of the marshes. Having grown up in Aldby, he spent much of his childhood playing and exploring on the local marshland. A 35-year career in printing still allowed time for him to pursue his love of wildlife, combining this with a passion for photography to help him to record his observations. In his mid-40s, he started as a volunteer for Suffolk Wildlife Trust, and in 2021 he became the assistant warden at Carlton Marshes. He's recently been made up to full warden, but still gets to spend most of his time outside. You've been involved with Carlton Marshes for a long time.
For 10 years before I really sort of started working here. I was volunteering here.
Yeah. So how has it changed?
It's got much bigger.
Yeah.
We're now Carlton, Alton and Castle. Those three is now over 1,100 acres. Now the acquisition of Worlingham just up the river. That's another nearly 400 acres on top of that. So there's nearly 1,500 acres now to keep on top of.
What does your job as warden involve?
Different times of the year, different things. A lot of bird survey stuff in the spring. In the summer, you move more onto the management of the marshes, as in tractor work, topping, stuff like that, to keep the rush under control and the grass at a reasonable level. Then in the autumn, you move into the harder physical work, as in chainsaw stuff in the woods, clear and scrub. There's all this habitat you can see out here now, all these marshes, reed beds and that. If the scrub work isn't done, then very quickly it would just regenerate into woodland carr, alder and willow carr. So autumn and winter is the more physical time.
Have you got a favourite time of the year?
I like doing the surveys. I like doing them in the spring. New start to the year, it's hearing the cuckoos arrive, and that's my favourite time of the year.
So when you're taking your pictures, do you have the camera with you, or do you actually go and deliberately try and capture?
A lot of the time I'll just have it with me and photograph what I see. Sometimes, more in my own time at weekends or on holidays, I'll target a specific species and try and get pictures of a specific species. But mainly I've just got the camera with me. If I'm just going for a walk at a weekend, I'll just have the camera slung over my shoulder, and whatever turns up, I'll take pictures of. You never know. I've probably got a favourite animal, as in otters. Done quite a bit of work here with otters, analysing what they have been eating, analysing the spraying. Got trail cameras set up around the place to record them as they come out of the river and record their behaviour. I must admit, otters are probably my favourite animal, and then any of the owls. I love watching the owls. Quite often, there's a lovely evening this evening, so once I've finished work, I'll probably take my camera down here and wait for the barn owl to come out. The light is better, the light is beautiful first thing in the morning, just as the sun's rising. Every sound seems more intense. If you like, when you're out there listening, it's just everything seems much more intense first thing in the morning. So that always strikes a chord with me. Something I would love to see again or hear again that I haven't heard since I was a kid would be a snipe drumming. I've not heard that. The little wading bird with a long beak. They fly up and then I think they fan their tails and make the drumming noise as they come down. Yeah, I've not heard that for years. I remember hearing it when I was a child. I used to go walking with my dad out in the marshes, and you'd hear it regularly, but not heard that at all.
And did they drop in numbers, or did they?
They don't breed here now as such. They do breed in other areas locally, but here we've lost them. We're hoping that by creating all this wetland habitat, in the winter there are hundreds of snipe here, so we're hoping that some of them will decide to stay and breed.
If I said memory of the marshes, what would you say? Is there a particular?
I would probably say walking with my father when I was a small chap. And walking with him, that was always really exciting. Let's go and have a wander out, and walking on the marshes as a kid with my father.
So you're still walking with him in many ways, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah. You do think of things like that when you're walking somewhere. When you're walking by yourself, you do. These memories come back to you.
So let's finish this episode with our own walk around the marshes. Having grown up in Carlton Colville and knowing the village all my life, it's only in recent years that I've started to explore the marshes, and it feels like a wilderness world I just didn't know was there. Looking at a map of the area, I didn't know these places existed. Guzzles Gate, Horseshoe Point, Jensen's Island, and they were so close by. So here's a poem I've written celebrating these strange place names and a chance to explore them. The poem is read by David Redgrave and Sally Ann Burnett.
The Wilderness.
Or how to get there.
On the Beggles Road, down Burnt Hill Lane, near where White House Farm once was, see the centre for visitors.
Along the reed beds, find the narrow path past White Cast Marsh. There's always a boat or two on the broad expanse of water, called Alton.
There's a landing stage, slipways, jetty and causeways, so go with the flow and turn at Horseshoe Point, where the Dutch tea gardens were, and boats no more.
Go north, glide along past Peato's Marsh on Alton Dyke, as it runs away to join the river that weaves around from the west. Meet the Waveney.